So it's almost been 1 year since I got the Sony FX6, and I've been shooting several films, documentaries, music videos, etc. And I want to let you guys know some of the lessons that I learned. Let's get into it. Disclaimer, if I get gear sent to me to review or anything like that, I let you guys know in the very beginning of the video, and this is not one of them. This is a purchase that I made on my own merit that I have been saving towards for so long, and I finally made it happen last year. And I'm super excited, but I want to help you guys in your filmmaking journey. So without further ado, the biggest thing that you need to get in the FX6, or the biggest thing that I've learned after purchasing the Sony FX6, is that you need a team, or just warm bodies. Point being that I can't be the subject, the cinematographer, the director, the overall controller of continuity, lens choices, audio, editing, color. There's so much jobs that are out there in cinematography in general that a lot of creators like to put on their shoulder. And as a cinematographer, you cannot do all of them good at the same time. And point me in the direction of somebody who can, because they're probably slacking on at least one or two of those things. And by warm bodies, I really mean people to check whether you're actually in frame, whether the audio's picking up, whether you're actually in focus or not, whether the color's hitting, whether it's not hitting. And that leads me right into my second point, which is autofocus sometimes is king. Now, unless you can afford a super expensive LiDAR system, which I currently cannot because I spent all my money on the FX6 and all these lighting stuff and drones and stuff, but that LiDAR system really helps you focus. Unless you have that, you need someone pulling focus and or having autofocus lenses. If you look at this footage here, this was shot on a Tamron 28-75 f2.8 G2 lens. This is a really good autofocus lens if you're looking to get one. If you follow all the other things that relate to cinematography in general and you want to get a cinematic image such as color, composition, leading lines, etc., this image will look good regardless of what type of lens you have on it. Now, when you introduce movement into this, you might want to increase or decrease the rate of the blurriness in the background, or the rate of it focusing, or the speed of it in general to get a more cinematic flow, but that's up to you. Here's where I really fell off this summer work, and that is having someone checking continuity or continuance or something like that, because you don't want actors or talent wearing something in one scene and not wearing it in another, or doing something in one scene and not doing it in another, because that disrupts the story, that disrupts your eyes, that disrupts the overall cinematic feel and overall professional feel of what you're trying to get across. Unless you directed it otherwise, have someone checking to see that if someone's wearing a chain in one scene, they're wearing a chain in the other. If they're smoking in one scene, they're smoking in the wide shot. Like I had so many times where the actor was smoking in the tight shot, but not smoking in the wide shot. So it's like, now you either use one and you can't use the other one. In the editing room, this actually creates a hurdle because then it's harder and harder to tell a story. My next point is that lighting and lenses are key. Now, for the most part, I was shooting inside for a lot of these pieces this summer, so I was grateful not to have that consistent lighting. So I was bringing things like the Godox 150 SLW and this great video maker light with me, as well as some of the panel lights that you see behind me to my shoots, including some of that tube lighting right there. Oh, that's this side. That tube lighting that you see back there to my shoots. And that was a gift because I was able to control what was going on temperature wise and flow wise, and I didn't have to rely on the sun. But not having that and having a diesel camera doesn't help your image. Like having these lights helps this image out so much, even just right now, that when you bring these with your kit, it increases your level of production regardless of what camera body you have. Now, if you have an $8,000 camera and only a $50 or $60 lens, unless you are going for that particular look, your picture quality and your image quality and overall story you're going to tell is going to fall a little bit short. Now, you really want to do your research and invest into lens companies like Tokina, like DZO, like C-Ray, Ari, and Cook to really get that cinematic look out of your lens. Obviously, you can make that work with a Helios 44-2, but again, I did my research for like a year before I invested my money into these different systems. My next point is to be patient and learn the menus. Now, you don't want to be on set fumbling through the Sony FX6 menu system, how to change the frame rates, how to change the ISO, how to change the shutter speed, focusing pattern, all that type of stuff you need to figure out prior to getting on set. And that is probably super important because you don't want to have subjects out of focus, or you don't want to be shooting half the film in auto ND and another half of the film in a fixed ND where it's like, you know, a different look is being achieved. You don't want to be shooting half the film with a 24 frames per second view or a 50 or 60 frames per view, because then it looks weird in the edit, it looks weird to your eyes, thus it hurts your overall ability to tell a better story. Hire or be a really good colorist. And this really leads me to 2 points, because you really want to get the FX6 with the Atomos Ninja V or some type of external monitor system that lets you record raw footage, because you really want to get that high res color profile that you're able to pull, mix, and match and just bend the footage any way you need possible to get the colors that you want. I mean, just look at this footage right here shot on the Sony FX6 and the Atomos Ninja V with the Tamron 28-75 this fall. Now look at that same camera and the same lens, but without the Atomos Ninja V. Now, obviously, this is still great colors that you get out of the Sony FX6, but if you really want to push it that much further, invest in that external monitor, because that was probably my best accessory that I got for the Sony FX6. Not only does having an external monitor get people off your shoulder and get people off your back, it helps your memory process, it helps you be able to edit a little bit quicker, and you get more options when it comes to colors. Always focus on the story. Make sure that you get the shots you need to tell the story that you need to tell. You don't want to be reaching in the editing room to try to, concoct something that the viewer is not going to follow sequentially, and it just is going to hurt the overall story. So film more, talk about stuff less, but the more you get, the easier it is to tell a better story in the editing room. That means angles, focal lengths, characters involved, movement not involved, but definitely get the shots that you need to tell the story that you can. And finally, the Sony FX6, the Sony FX3, and the Sony FX30 all have an option to come with that top handle that has 2 XLR ports in the top. Use them. This summer, I overcomplicated what I was shooting so bad because I brought a Tascam Porta Capture X8 on set thinking that, 32-bit float's going to be way better, but it just made the process so much harder in the editing room because, one, I was a cinematographer and I also had to, boom sometimes and make sure that the audio quality was to a standard. Therefore, I was missing when I was syncing up some of the clips. Having timecode is essential with the Sony FX6, but I was still messing up how to sync that. So just plug your audio source right into the top handles there and it just gets good audio quality. Having it plugged directly in the camera is way better than having me, myself, or another cinematographer just stretched so thin on shooting days. Now that is all I have for you guys in this video. It is your boy Kip Jackson. Start Somewhere is the name of the game. You can do this. You can do this too. Trust me. You got this. Watch another one of my videos. Support the channel. Much more to come. Welcome to 24. Let's get it!